just, I mean, not even a mile, just west, or just east of what you call it there, Ellington Field. And then the study that we did at the Armand Bayou Nature Center may be, as the crow flies, 2 or 3 miles at the most. So here we have this data, right here. And here's this humongous prairie pothole complex. This is a very interesting prairie pothole complex. It's one of the last great pieces in Harris County. Certainly in southeast Harris County, it is the last significant piece. It's 2,000 acres. So it's not as big as those guys farther out, but in terms of where it is, it's quite significant. Actually, it's quite close to the 50 acres, that we got all excited about. We need to get excited about this place too. So there's Clear Lake City Boulevard. I think I showed, well, I thought I had a map of where that is. But anyway, if you know where Clear Lake is, on the bottom side, this is Clear Lake City Boulevard here. This is Pine Brook, and this is where Trendmaker is going to put a development. And there's what that development looks like. Not a particularly terrible development as far as developments go. They're gonna put their stormwater drainage in here in these little green areas. So there'll be kind of these little fingers, and that'll be nice. That's fine. We have no quarrel with that. So we're not saying don't develop. We're saying you got to get a permit and you got to mitigate. That is what we are saying to them. So let me show you some of the data here real quick. So Google Earth is a great tool. It's free, and then you see that little clock up there on top. You can slide that around. You can see 1944 photographs, and you can put your overlay on there. So here it is in 1944. Let's see if we got a little closer up kind of version of that. This is 1944, before it was all messed up. But this has never been land leveled. Problem is you can't see it today because Yaupon and Chinese tallow and all that stuff has come up. But I guarantee you the seed source is still there. And I double guarantee you that the water is still being cleaned as it flows through these wetlands. And let's see if we look, let me go back here. We did find on one of the topo maps a drainage way that goes right, this is from the, I think about a 1960s or so topo map. So there's a drain that connects into Horsepen Bayou, and certainly, so this is a ridge, and half of it flows into, this is Armand Bayou itself, and then Horsepen actually connects into Armand Bayou. So these are both waters of the U.S. They are impaired waters of the U.S. They got problems. They're not functioning as they should be. And this development will further impair, that is our argument, that it will further impair the quality of these waters. And we want something done about it. So we sent a letter to Mr. Holder, the very fine gentleman, the president of Trendmaker Development, and we told him, you are doing unauthorized fill in the waters of the U.S., and we want you to come out here and fix it. We told the Corps at the same time, because that's part of the deal, we told the Corps, these guys are filling a wetland. This was in about late November, early December. So I think the first week in December, the Corps paid a visit out there, walked around on the wetland, and they haven't decided yet. It's a little bit odd to me. They haven't decided yet quite, haven't said what it means out there. They did say that they are wetlands, and it was clear, I was not allowed to be there, so this is all just secondary hearsay for me. But it's clear that they do not think that these are connected. They have not even responded to the studies that I have given. Now I have asked them directly to look at these studies, and so one of their staffers at least asked me for the studies to look at. But right now we've told the Trendmaker, we gonna sue you. We will see you in court. And that's where this argument is gonna take place. But again, it's not that we're trying to say don't develop. We realize we don't have a chance there. It's if you're going to develop, then you need to mitigate this loss. Because right now, and in fact, their consultant, Vincent and Elkins, has told them that they do not need a permit. Says you all just don't even worry about it. So they don't even have a permit at this point, which makes it very interesting. So right now, the legal team consists of the, the law clinic at UT. So they have an environmental law clinic at the University of Texas in Austin, and then we have the two lawyers of record. One works with Lowry and Frederick, a law firm in Austin, and there's a fellow named Scott Jurger up in Oregon. And we have the famous Jim Blackburn, at least, looking over our shoulder, kind of helping us here. He hasn't weighed out completely, but he's pretty busy with the whooping cranes and all these other kind of issues. But he has agreed that he will watch over our shoulder, make sure that things get done right. So, just real quick here to finish up, there's you can see again how complex that system is there, right? So this was all original prairie. You can see the pimple mounds, you can see the potholes, it's chock-a-block full. This is the National Wetland Inventory map of that. It's about 400 or 500 acres. Again, the National Wetland Inventory map never overestimates, they always underestimate. So we looked at the rest of the area, because you can see that there's plenty of dark areas here, right? But remember, the National Wetland Inventory, they were using, this was back in the 90s, they were using high altitude aerial photography. They couldn't zoom in like we can with Google Earth. So you wouldn't expect them to get everything. So we went ahead, we just drew some lines on a variety of photos. This is the 1944 photo. Those are the areas that looked like they were wetlands then. We looked at, this is a 19 something, I can't quite see, 70, 78. So again, there's the blue lines, areas that look wet. It's all about air photo interpretation. You have to choose a wet year to see the, where those wetlands are. And then we also looked at, this is 2010 with those green lines. And so then what we did is we just said, well, if it was wet in all 3 years, then we think this is pretty sure shot. These guys are wetlands, right? Because if you see that over time, the same pattern, you can just about be sure that those are wetlands. And then areas that were wet in one of those years, we labeled this way. So they wouldn't let it, they obviously haven't let us out there to look at anything, to poke any holes in the ground, look at the vegetation, but it's obvious that there are wetlands out there. So what we have done, again, we have submitted the notice of intent to sue. We haven't sued them yet, but we've told them we're going to do it. So right now we're just kind of in a strategizing stage about exactly how we're going to do it. It's difficult to sue the Corps directly because I think it's the Administrative Procedures Act or Policy Act, something like that. Does that sound about right, Bob? So it makes it difficult. So, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a wetland guy. We're relying on their guidance. And we're hopeful that they're telling us what to do here. Okay, so the next steps, so just to sort of tie this all up, last few slides here, is this issue of jurisdiction. That's what we're working on right now in terms of the big picture. We've got to get these wetlands back in jurisdiction. That's the whole ball game right here with Trendmaker. Maybe we'll do Generation Park. There's another massive business park, Pinto something going in up on I-45 and the Beltway, about 2,000 acres. Chock-a-block full. I mean, it's just all over the place. But that's the whole idea, is get that. Then we need to work on enforcement too, because back when we were, back before Swank, they were under jurisdiction, but again, they're not out and about, right? They're not out looking over the landscape, so we've got to work on that. And it's going to require individual citizens being involved here. I'll talk about that in just a second. The other issue that we've got to deal with is this issue of mitigation. Now, I have a study going on right now with my friends at HARC up in Conroe. That's the George Mitchell Institute up there. They've got quite a pretty good environmental science program up there. And we're actually doing an audit of the mitigation. What are we getting for our money? And when you get back to this idea of the two kidneys, right, and what we should be mitigating. So we shouldn't be, this creation business, we just need to ditch that. We just need to get rid of that because we've got these tremendous wetlands out here that function well. And here's the deal. If there was the enforcement that there needed to be, if these wetlands were under jurisdiction and they were mitigated as they should be, okay, then every year, if we looked into the future with all the development coming, every year, and that mitigation was preservation, right? Not creation, but preservation. We could be setting aside the equivalent of an Anahuac National Wildlife Refuge every year. And you might be saying, well, that's crazy. Well, it might be. Let's dream big. Let's go for it. let's not just settle for business as usual. Let's think this through, okay? If the mitigation was preservation, yeah, it comes at a ratio, and there's wetlands that are within upland, so I'm talking to 30,000 acres there of Anahuac, and that's wetlands and uplands all together. That's the kind of preservation we could have if we were getting our money's worth and we were getting our due. And it is our due by law. We're not getting it. So that's sort of the game there that we're playing, we're trying to get to. In my program, a Texas Coastal Watershed program, and within Galveston Baykeeper too. So let me just end up here on what is it that you can do? Because now you're all on fire, right? Okay, save some wetlands, right? I'm hoping. Maybe you are. Better be. Well, the first thing you can do is learn the song of our land. Now that sounds kind of lyrical. It is. It's actually the title of my paper that's coming out in Sight. I didn't put that, somebody else did, but I like it. It's a great title. Learn the song of our land. Know our land, know our place. It's not enough to know about Big Bend. You need to know about Prairie Potholes right here because it's your land. This is what you're responsible for. This is your stewardship. So you need to find out about these prairie potholes. And the prairie potholes that are in your neighborhood, close to you, where are they? What do they look like? And it's not just prairie potholes, okay? There's bottomland hardwoods. There's all kinds of wetlands around here. We need to know our place. If we don't know it, how can we expect the Corps to be worried about it? They respond to what they see people involved with. The other thing is that you can contribute. Time and money both. We need volunteers and we need money. And I'll just shamelessly ask for it right here. You just put in Galveston Baykeeper in Google and it'll take you right here to our website. And if you click on a little, see how it says donate now? It doesn't say donate tomorrow. It says donate now. If you click on that button, it will ask you again, donate monthly. And it will ask you, it gives you a little place down here that you can specify the Trendmaker Legal Fund. So these lawyers that we have aren't coming exactly free. Now they're not charging us full price, right? They're sort of doing it as a, if they win, then they'll get some of their hours back. But we really can't expect them to, put out right now with, so they have legal, there's expenses of them coming, taking depositions, those kind of things. So we need some working capital to do this. Without it, we're not going to do it, okay? It costs money. Simple as that. All right, what else can you do? You can join the Wetland Watch. So this is a program we've had within Galveston Bay. We've worked with Scott and others on this. This is where people all around the area, the Corps ain't going to go out, right? They are not going to proactively go out and look for stuff. So we need eyes on the ground. We need a whole network across this whole area. You see development coming in, we need to call up the Corps and we need to say, hey, there's some development going on here. Now we've actually assembled a database of all the permits. We try to be careful. We don't want to harass them if there's already a permit action or something going on. So we want to be a little bit parsimonious with that. But we want to make an impact. And we've had an impact. We used to have Heather Biggs working for us. We don't right now. We don't really have that covered. But especially once we get the jurisdiction back on these kinds of wetlands, then Wetland Watch, because even if we have the jurisdiction, if nobody's watching the wetlands, they're still going to get paved over, right? But we got to take care of that. Engage your community. Here's one thing that would make a big difference. Remember how I said that nobody gets by without a construction permit, right? So if communities, if they said when somebody comes in, well, I'm going to build a subdivision out here. If those people in that permit office said this simple thing, show me your due diligence on the wetlands. Show me that you went to the Corps. Show me that you either got a permit or they said there's no wetlands. That would be a humongous difference right now. Just as it is, without any other changes, if every permitting agency in this area, counties, municipalities said, show me your due diligence, okay? It's not saying they're taking over the wetland process, it just says, show me that you did. Show me that you did what you're supposed to do. And if there's mitigation, we want it in our area. We don't want it in Huntsville, we want it here. Okay, and I think I'm coming down. And lastly, honor what we take. honor what we take. These areas are special, they're precious. Some of them are going to have to go under the plow or under the pavement, so to speak, because there's 4 million people coming. Okay? Honor what we take. This does not honor what we take, right? This is the environmentalist dream, right? Where does the environmentalist go? I know this probably strikes many of you as totally counterintuitive. What's this guy talking about? You know, what does the environmentalist do? They move out to the prairie, right? I got to move to the prairie. I'm going to move to the forest and screw it all up. Do you see what it says here? Look at this. Leave wildlife alone. Do you see a problem here? Leave wildlife alone. Get the hell out of my prairie. Don't come here. I don't care if you got organic this and you got a push mower. You're still screwing up my prairie. I don't care if you call it low impact development. You are still screwing up my prairie. So if you want to be friendly, and there's 4 million people coming, we cannot stop them, then we need to put those people in interesting walkable places along Washington Corridor, etc. In the Sugar Land town center. We actually have town centers all over the place. This is, and this honors the wetlands. This honors the potholes. This does not. And those of us in the environmental community have to learn this lesson, okay? It's not enough to put a few swells out there, a few water quality features, and call it good. We got to save those prairies where they are. So, what's in our future? Can we imagine a livable Houston and a wonderful natural landscape around it? I would argue that we can. And I would argue that if we can't imagine it, then is it a place we even want to live? I would say no, but I would say we have the wherewithal to imagine a beautiful natural area and a great Houston at the same time. And I'm going to cut it off right there. Thank you very much. That was a little over.
I'll find out how to do that, Jerry.